Hello there, I'm ZeeZee, and this is ZeeZee Talks. Today I'll be discussing finances, and I'll be answering questions by two lovely people concerning their finances and things that they're not so very sure of how to handle. So if you've ever had a run-in with your spouse concerning your finances, stay tuned, do not go anywhere, and let's see what my counsel is on this topic. Welcome back. So we're talking about finances today, and if you're married, whether you've been married for 30 years or you're newly married, you need to hear what I have to say about the topics today, because money, the lack of money or the abundance of money, tends to cause friction between couples, and this is one of the main reasons why people state they're getting divorced. So stay tuned and we'll see exactly what my first email is about. So the first question I'll be responding to was sent to me by Julia, and Julia writes in, "Hi ZeeZee, my husband supports his extended family, his mother, father, and 3 married sisters. I have tried many times to stop this, but I am met by fights from his family, with them insisting that I am trying to destroy their happiness. They have promised to make my life miserable in the house by doing whatever it takes to come between me and my husband. What can I do?" Thanks for writing in, Julia. I totally understand where you're coming from. It sounds like you're between a rock and a hard place. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you don't stop your husband from excessively spending, people might take advantage of him. But then if you do stop him from excessively spending on people, then you're a witch, and then you're totally considered not a very good person. I totally understand your plight. So first, it sounds to me that you and your husband have a lot of relationship rebuilding to do. It sounds to me that you're not on very good terms because he's either not listening to what you're saying or cutting you off. Now, the real issue here is not the fact that he's supporting his parents, which actually he should, or his married sisters. Now that I'm not so sure, but we'll leave that one for later. So the issue is not the fact that he's doing this, because if it's not this issue, it's going to be another issue. It sounds like the both of you are lacking what I call the main foundation of a strong marriage, because the thing is, if you have that foundation, if it's solid, it takes a lot. No one can just no external force, let's put it that way, can actually come between the both of you or the decisions that the both of you are making concerning your marriage. So since people are able to come between you guys, since his family is able to threaten you, I'm going to assume he's not acting as the protector that he should be over you or your marriage. So first, I think you guys have a lot of rebuilding to get handled. So honestly, unless the both of you are able to fix the bond that brings you together as one unit in your marriage, any external force, any uncle, brother, mother, father will be able to penetrate, and that in essence would be where you find you start having issues that you can't seem to solve. So you didn't mention how close or how your relationship with your husband currently is. Because the thing is, if you don't communicate effectively, if you're not able to resolve the conflict that you both experience, if you're not able to talk about your expectations in marriage, if you're not able to just sit and become friends, what happens is anyone can come between the both of you. Your bond is not necessarily built like it should be built, and you don't get closer. So when you get married, you have to keep getting closer to each other for you to have this impenetrable bond. And except you guys have done that, you're going to keep experiencing these issues. So I'm going to assume that your relationship with him is not so very serious. So the first thing I will ask that you do is see how you can work on that with him. Okay, so if you are able to talk to your husband about the situation that you're having, you're talking to him kindly, nicely, you're not screaming and yelling at him. If you're able to penetrate him that way, that's great. If you're not able to, you might need to speak with someone that he really respects, someone who is good support, a good standing citizen, someone who he looks up to. So that person might be able to explain to him that the both of you need to come to the table to discuss your finances finances and to discuss how much you're giving to whoever it is that you're giving. I also want to ask, do you guys budget? Because if you don't budget, it might seem like a ridiculous amount that he's throwing at his family when indeed within him he's decided this is the amount that I would give to my family every month. So if you budget, what you need to do is agree on one amount that the both of you want to give to his parents, and that way you put it in the budget so it doesn't come like a shock to you every single month. Now on to his 3 married sisters. I'm assuming they're married, so that means they have husbands, right? So where are their husbands? Now your husband should, except of course there's a certain situation where he's helping them temporarily, but permanently and forever with no end, he shouldn't be responsible for his married sisters. Where are their husbands? What are they doing? Now again, this is where communication is very important for a couple. What are the both of you doing? If you guys are not talking about it, it's going to seem like things are falling apart. Your husband might be thinking, I'm just going to help my sisters while they're trying to maybe build a business, for instance, this short time. But he hasn't communicated that to you. And because you're probably sounding very intolerable and you're probably sounding very mean, he probably just doesn't want to discuss that with you. So what I suggest is you guys talk about the plans. And again, if there's nothing going on with the sisters and all they're doing is opening their hands and getting money from him, no, that doesn't necessarily have to be so. Again, it doesn't matter if you're fine with it, as long as you talk to him about it, that's okay. But without talking about it, you're not going to be sure what's going on, and then it's going to be causing issues between the both of you. So like I said, what you need to do is focus on fixing the bond between you and your husband. The 1 or 2 issues with his family are not the real issues. The real issues would be if the both of you do not have if the both of you are not close. And a wise man once said that you do not become close first before you talk to your spouse. You actually talk to your spouse to get close. So you need to form that close bond between the both of you, so any external force doesn't necessarily have a say in what the both of you are doing in your house. I really hope this helps you, Julia. And again, if you have, or if you need more help on how to sort out or figure out how to communicate with your husband, you can go to my website, ZeeZeeIO.com, where I have a free audio that you could download on how to effectively communicate with your spouse and handle conflict resolution. Notice how I said effectively communicate, because again, there is a potential for couples just to talk to each other thinking I'm communicating, but you're not. There's so many different aspects of having effective communication. So if you go to my website, you can download that file and you can listen to it while you're working, while you're cooking, while you're driving, whatever, just so that way you start to learn how to communicate, and of course you can share with your husband. So I hope this all works out for you, Julia. Don't despair, okay? So we're going to move on to my second question of the day, and today's question is from Sammy. So let's see what Sammy says today. Hi ZeeZee, my husband never buys me gifts, not for my birthday, not for Mother's Day, or any day. I always get him gifts on special occasions, and frankly, I just don't think it's right that he doesn't get me a gift. I haven't told him because he should know to buy me a gift. His birthday is upon us again, and I am wondering if I should bother getting him anything since he didn't get me a gift on my birthday. Help me, ZeeZee, because I can't stand this anymore. Thank you, Sammy. Thanks for your email, Sammy. So the short answer to your question is yes. Yes, you should buy him a gift. What you need to do is do what you think is right, and you obviously think it's okay to buy gifts for people when it's special occasions, birthdays and things. So if you don't buy him a gift, what you're in essence doing is retaliating for him not having bought you gifts on other special occasions that concerned you. Again, if you're married, regardless of what your spouse does, you are supposed to still do what is right, what you know is the right thing to do, because your vows don't change just because your spouse is doing something you do not appreciate. So now, let me tell you what might be the issue and the reason why your husband doesn't think that you might need any gifts. So now, this business of not telling him that you would like for him to buy your gift on your birthday or on Mother's Day because he should know to buy you a gift is not doing anybody any good, especially not you. It's actually doing him nothing, and it's really just frustrating you even more. And I'll explain what I mean by that. In marriage, Your spouse is not a mind reader. Yes, to you or maybe to your friends or people around you, based on your background, it's normal to give gifts on birthdays, Mother's Day, and things like that. That might not be your husband's experience. And because you're not telling him, he doesn't know. And you might think, well, ZeeZee, he should know I like gifts. Hey, maybe the 1 or 2 times he's bought you a gift when you were dating, you might have mentioned it. But now that you're married, you think, hey, you should know better. I'm your wife. I would like a gift. So the first thing you need to do is to talk to your husband and let him know that you would appreciate it if on Mother's Day and birthdays and special occasions, he buys you a gift. It's okay to do that. He's your spouse. There's no shame here. So to repeat, you're totally doing yourself, like we like to say, if you're not telling your spouse that you would like a gift. It's okay to talk to him about it, and it's totally okay for the both of you to arrive at some middle ground. Maybe he thinks the gifts you like he can't afford. That's okay as well. But again, if you guys can talk healthily about it, you will definitely come to a middle ground. Now, I'd like to add this, that you might think your spouse is being mean, but he, in actuality, is just working with what he understands from how he's grown up and his background and so on and so forth, which is why I say if you don't tell him, you would literally be doing yourself. Now, folks, listen to me closely. One thing I will like to say is if you have a grievance with your husband or your wife, there's no need sitting there and stewing with that information. You are only hurting yourself. If they say, what's going on? What's the matter? I notice you have a long face. Don't just clam up and say, nothing is wrong with me. I'm fine. So why are you then going to be mad at them when they don't do anything about the situation? Again, your spouse is not a mind reader. So everyone who's watching this, I would really like for you to understand that when there's a problem, when there's something you're not very happy about, it's okay to respectfully bring it up to your spouse, to let them know that there's something going on that you don't really like, that you would like the both of you to talk about. Again, it's marriage, so you might not potentially agree on the issue, but what's more important is you can talk about it and come to a common ground that the both of you are happy with. So moving on here, Sammy, there's a book written by a world-renowned psychologist called The 5 Love Languages, and his name is Dr. Gary Chapman. What Dr. Gary Chapman has done in this book is write about 5 categories that he believes people generally want to be loved in. So he thinks there are 5 different ways that people generally like to be loved, and they're very simple. The first is acts of service. The second is words of affirmation. The third is physical touch. The fourth is gifts. And the fifth is quality time. So he's saying in essence that when your spouse doesn't seem to be satisfied with the way you're doing things for them, it might be because you don't really understand how to love them. You don't understand their love language. So what he's saying is you need to understand what that is before you're able to effectively love your spouse. So what I suggest is you and your husband, after you get that book, read the book, do the short quiz, and you'll get to see that he probably doesn't understand how to love you the way you want to be loved, and vice versa. So actually, you might notice that gifts rank very low for your husband, and that's just because it doesn't really mean anything to him. So you giving him gifts to you might be like, oh, I am giving him the world just because, I like to give gifts. And he might be thinking, oh, okay, nice. It's not really groundbreaking or earth-shaking for him. What you might find is he just appreciates words of affirmation more. Obviously, gifts is very high ranked for you, but for your spouse, it might not be because he doesn't really need a gift, but if you give him one, he'll take it. So what you do is after you take the quiz, the both of you get to rank on a scale of 1 to 5, what is most important and what is least important to you. You're not saying you don't want whatever is least. What you're saying is, this is what I like most, and your spouse, as long as they're able to at least do the first 2 or 3, cut them some slack. I also have a video on my YouTube channel about the 5 love languages where I give you more information. So please check out that video. And once you're able to go through this with your husband, you're going to find out that things will change. He will start to understand how to love you the way you want to be loved. Does that make sense? So take that quiz and let me know how it goes. When you go to my website, ZeeZeeIO.com, do not forget to download the 3-part audio series that I have on effective communication and conflict resolution. Again, this audio is going to help you learn how to talk, respond, listen, and just understand your spouse. It's an exceptional piece, and I'm sure you would really enjoy it. So for everyone else who's watching, if you have anything else to add, so Sammy could learn from you, if you have any examples or anything that has happened in your life over time that has made you learn, please share it with us. You can comment at the bottom of this video. I'll also like you to like the video if something resonated with you, and more importantly, share it with someone who might need to hear this today. Thank you so much, ladies, for your questions. And for anyone else who needs to send you a question, you can do so, questions@ZeeZeeIO.com. I'll be more than happy to help you. So you need daily inspiration, tips, and reminders on how to keep your relationship flourishing. Why don't you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook? My handle on all 3 platforms, ZeeZeeIO. So thank you again for your time. It's always lovely having you here on ZeeZee Talks. I'll look forward to talking to you again. Have a glorious day.